This is Courage Barbell, and I'm your host, Chad Ikes. And today, I'm coming at you with some really crappy artwork. I lift heavy stuff, so my fine motor skills really aren't very good. This is a drawing of a human's back. Kind of a morphed up, messed up human. But what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about this back area, the middle upper back. And really, this episode is about how to do a face pull correctly, but I see it done so poorly, so often, that I feel like we need a little anatomy lesson. So with my very crude drawing here, this is the back, these are the scapula, this is the spine of the scapula, which ends up with your acromion process, and around that is the coracoid process, which is where your clavicle comes in and ties into your scapula here and here. But what we have off of this spine, we have our upper trap, which comes up here. Then we have our middle trap, which basically goes straight across, and we have our lower trap. Over here, this one is the rhomboids, which run from this whole edge of the scapula to up into the spine. Then over here, with a very crude drawing, this is your serratus anterior. Your serratus anterior is actually very, very important, and you'll see on bodybuilders, they'll have, it looks like little lungs or gills or something right here. That is your serratus anterior. And your serratus anterior actually comes behind your scap and connects back in here. So it helps with the process of winging the scapula, and it also helps with protraction, pulling the shoulder blades forward. Over here we have your lats, which actually come up all the way through your spine up here, but they come up in your humerus. So the movements that we really want to focus on are scapular retraction. Scapular retraction is pulling these two shoulder blades together as tight as you can get them. And scapular depression. Scapular depression is pulling the shoulder blades down. So in a lot of different exercises, you're always going to hear me yelling at my clients, scapular retraction, scapular depression. I'm yelling at that all the time because that puts my shoulders in the strongest position. So if I have a squat, scapular retraction and depression. Deadlift, just depression, tight scaps. Bench press, scapular retraction and depression. Now, what muscles are going to retract these scapula? It's going to be our rhomboids, our middle traps, and I think a little bit of lower trap. But we don't want to be firing the upper traps, because if we fire the upper traps, it's going to shrug our shoulders up. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on this rhomboid and this middle trap area. Now, scapular depression. Scapular depression is going to be these lower traps and the lat. The lat actually comes up and hooks into the humerus. So by pulling our lats down, it can pull our shoulders down and help us keep the whole shoulders in depression. Not doing what a bodybuilder does, flaring our lats out. We don't want to flare our lats out. We want to use our lats to pull our shoulders down. And then our serratus is important because as we squeeze them together, we don't want any winging out of this. And it's very important to have good control of all this area. Like you need to be able to protract, retract, depress, elevate, depress, elevate. What the problem that I see in almost every client that I work with, from young kids to my older clients, is this whole area right here. So middle trap, lower trap, rhomboids, all this whole area in between these shoulder blades. I've started naming this the trapezius triangle. It's very similar to the Bermuda Triangle, except the Bermuda Triangle disappears boats and ships and airplanes. This triangle disappears muscle. And it's way worse than the Bermuda Triangle because it's taken way more muscle than any airplanes ever. It's not funny. This is not funny shit. This is very serious. So, trapezius triangle. The funny thing is I have clients come in and they have, let me use my black marker here, they have those traps that go up to here. And they might even have a decent rear delt here. And they're like, oh, I'm big, I can row 300 pounds, I can row 400 pounds, my back's plenty strong. But right here, there's a big damn hole. There's no muscle in here. They may even have big lats down here, but there's nothing here. And if there's nothing here, none of this other shit matters. None of it. XO, XO. Because these are the muscles, and if you look at top quality strongmen, top quality bench pressers, they actually have a ridge right here. And that's where all that muscle is so thick that it's coming up off the spine. And it's just thick muscle right there. If you have a hole here, you have a huge problem. If we're putting a massive squat on our back, and we don't have those muscles to do that, our back just goes. And let me do that from the side. Now everything's forward, you're hunched over. In a big bench, if you can't keep those shoulder blades down and tight, and you take that weight and you just go and spread out on the bench, you just screwed yourself. There's a reason all the top athletes are thicker than shit right here. So like, traps don't impress me. This impresses me. If I see a dude with a thick middle back, that's impressive. Okay, so I think I'll put this up for sale and ask, I don't know, $750,000. Any buyers? Any takers? Okay, let's move on, and I will demonstrate how a face pull is actually supposed to be done. Let's go over the movements one more time. The major movements we were going to talk about is shoulder depression. This is pulling the shoulders down. We want to pull down. It's like you're standing here and you want to stay up straight, but you want to pull, you want to reach your shoes. You want to try to reach your feet. And you're pulling your shoulders down as deep as you can get them. That's shoulder depression. Now, with the scapula, we want scapula retraction. This means I'm trying to pull those scapula together and make them touch, if at all possible. So if I'm like this, or I'm here, I'm pulling back. I'm trying to get them scapulas as close together as I can. That's scapular retraction. Now, the opposite of those two movements is shoulder elevation, which is lifting our shoulders up, which we're almost never going to actually do on purpose. The other one is shoulder blade scapular protraction, which is coming out here. We're trying to spread them as far apart as we can. In the face pull, we're going to need protraction and retraction. But the important part of this is you need to be able to move your shoulders. You got to have a lot of mobility in your scapula. I have some of my older clients that they lose that connection to being able to move their scapula. Their scapula is almost locked in one place. They become so tight here, and they've just been hunched over so long, they haven't actually done this in 20 years, and they forget how to actually do that. So it's important as lifters and younger people, we need to keep on top of this mobility and this flexibility. Which brings up another quick point. The tighter this is, the tighter your chest is, the tighter your anterior delt is and your shoulder capsule, the tighter your serratus are, the tighter your lats are, the harder it's going to be to actually pull your scapula back and get them together. Like I'm, leaning out, as you guys that follow me on my Instagram know, but I still have kind of broad shoulders. Well, I have broad shoulders, but I can squeeze them back and get them really close together because I've worked on all this flexibility and the strength in my back to pull my shoulder blades really close together. Now let's move on to the face pull itself. I continue to see this exercise done not to my liking. I don't want to say incorrectly because you could go, well, I do face pulls to work on my delts, which I hear a lot. And it's like, okay, if you're doing them like that, I guess it kind of works your delts, yeah. It's not what the exercise was designed for. At least it's not what I was ever taught that the exercise was designed for. I was taught that this exercise is for the middle upper back. And that's what I focus on. That brings up another point. We train, we don't work out. That means that every exercise we do with intent. We don't do an exercise if we don't know what muscles it's supposed to be working. And when we know the muscles it's supposed to be working and we know the exercise, then we perform it correctly. And when we perform it with intent. This means moving very specific to what you need. It means having that mind-muscle connection and focusing on flexing that muscle and moving that muscle as hard as you can. And that's very important in the face pull. I like to break the face pull down into basically 3 movements. We're always going to keep our shoulders in depression during a face pull. So even when I start out here, I'm going to protract my shoulder blades, which is usually just a pull I'm going to show you with bands. And then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to retract as hard and as fast as I can. So bam! And you can see I'm still holding my shoulders down. Now once I do this, I'm going to follow through with my elbows out and my hands up, and I'm going to end in 90, 90. I want to be up here like this, shoulders depressed, shoulder blades squeezed as tight as possible. And then I'm going to come back into here. So if I see people going, they're not working that middle back like they need to. They're actually starting this outward movement before they've even squeezed their scapula. It should be bam! And this should be a quick, explosive movement. Then the rest of the movement is basically just following through. I look at it kind of like a clean and jerk. It's that initial pull to get the weight going, then you're just dropping under it. Or it's similar to a pitch or a swing. Like once your hips go and you pitch that ball, like right here is just following through and doing what you need to do to get the ball to move like you want. But most of the work is coming. It's not like you're trying to go and push it out. It's the follow through. So if you do it, I'm going to use a small band here. So my shoulders are depressed, protraction, retraction, let the elbows come out, follow up here. So now I'm going to do it full on. Shoulders depressed. I'm going to hit my scapular retraction hard. That's a pretty light band. So here, shoulders depressed, protracted. And you notice, we call them face pulls, but you're not actually pulling to your face. I don't want you here like this. I don't want you coming up and going, oh, I'm touching my face. Because I'm here, and then I'm also here. Does that look like 90-90? It's not even close to 90-90. That's why we're here like this. That is a face pull. I do a lot of these with bands. You can do them on an incline with a dumbbell. You can do them facing on an incline bench with a dumbbell. You can actually do them, it's more of a dumbbell clean if you're sitting. You can do them on a high cable pull. I used to use a tricep rope a lot and just come out with the tricep rope. You can do them with a straight bar cable, like a lat bar. You can do it with just about anything. High cable, bands, inclines. If you have like a big row, like a row bench that goes really high that you can lay on, you can do them on a bench. And that's about most of the ways that I do it. But face pulls are a huge, great exercise. They're going to strengthen the middle back. They're going to teach you really good control. of your scapula and your lats, your rhomboids, your middle traps, lower traps. It's going to work all that out great. And you're going to find once you get these stable and you get them strong, there's going to be a massive change in all of your lifts. And like I said, I've run into very few people other than like high level athletes that already have this area developed really good. This is an area we really need to work on for the health of our shoulders and our body, but mostly for our strength. I look at health and mobility and flexibility as very important because that's going to allow us to lift even longer, injury-free, and make more progress. And as you all know, strength doesn't happen overnight. It's the long game. It's a sport of attrition. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to buy that drawing, let me know. And that's it, man. I'm out of here. Get to working that trapezius triangle. You get it stronger and it will show in all your lifts. I guarantee it. And I'll talk to you guys later. After I give you the spiel, please like the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share the channel. Please comment on the channel. And I will see you guys next time. I'm out.